The motel owner looked at my driver's license, then went completely still. "That last name," he whispered. "I've been expecting someone from your family for years." Before I could ask what he meant, he slid an old brass key across the desk. "Room 12. My hands felt cold around it. If stories about family secrets and impossible betrayals keep you watching, subscribe to Family Betrayal. And just so you know, the faces, photos, and background scenes you see are visual recreations meant only to help imagine the story. Room 12 was dark, untouched, almost frozen in time. On the table sat a small envelope with my name written across it, in my father's handwriting. My heart started pounding. Inside was one sentence. "If you're reading this, your mother lied to you about why I left." I sat on the bed, staring at those words until they blurred. My mother had always told me Dad abandoned us. I had spent years hating him for it. Then I found a second note beneath the first. "Don't trust the person who brought you here." I heard footsteps stop outside my door. The handle moved once, then stopped. A shadow crossed the curtain. I froze. Then a folded paper slipped beneath the door. I couldn't move. I remembered how quickly my mother always changed the subject whenever I asked about Dad. I opened it with shaking fingers. It showed an address and one warning: "Go alone. Ask about the blue suitcase." I had never heard of it, but whoever hid the truth was still afraid I would find it. The footsteps moved away, and I stayed perfectly still. My first thought was my mother. Then I remembered the motel owner had recognized my name before I even spoke. I called him downstairs. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Finally, he admitted my father had rented room 12 17 years earlier. He came back every year on the same date, always alone, always leaving an envelope behind. "Who were the envelopes for?" I asked. "You," he said. My father had apparently been trying to contact me since I was a teenager, but every letter disappeared before it reached me. The owner said he was instructed to release everything only if I came to the motel myself. I asked who had been collecting the letters. Then he placed a photograph on the counter. It showed my mother standing beside a man I had never seen before. On the back, my father had written, "This is the reason I was forced to disappear." I felt anger rising, but underneath it was something worse: fear. What if my entire childhood had been built around a lie? The photograph stayed in my pocket as I drove home. I wanted to confront my mother immediately, but when I opened my front door, I found an envelope waiting on the floor. Just 4 words: "You finally know enough." Inside was a motel receipt dated the night my father vanished. The signature at the bottom was my mother's. She had always told me Dad simply walked away, but that receipt placed her at the motel that night. Suddenly, I understood why the owner looked nervous. He knew this story could tear apart everything I thought I knew about my family, and he had carried that burden alone. By morning, I had convinced myself there had to be an explanation. Then I noticed the date. It was my 18th birthday. That was the night my father supposedly abandoned us. I drove back to the motel and demanded the owner tell me everything. He finally gave me a locked metal box my father had left behind. Inside were letters, bank records, and one family photograph. Then I found the letter that changed everything. My father wrote that he had discovered someone was stealing money from his business. When he confronted the person, he was threatened with losing me forever. He disappeared to protect me, hoping that one day the evidence would reach me. The man in the photograph was his lawyer. I called the number written on the lawyer's card. An older man answered and immediately said, "I wondered when you'd find the box." He told me my father had left instructions. If I ever came looking, I was to learn the truth before confronting my mother. Then he said something I will never forget. "Your father didn't leave because he stopped loving you. He left because your mother convinced him she would testify against him." I had one question left. Why would my mother do that? The lawyer's answer made me realize the worst secret was still waiting. He pulled out a sealed envelope with my name on it. "Your father told me never to open this unless you came here yourself." My hands trembled as I looked at the seal. Whatever was inside had been waiting for me for 17 years. The lawyer finally told me the truth. My mother had been involved in the theft from my father's business. When my father discovered it, she threatened to accuse him publicly and make sure I believed he had abandoned us. He disappeared to protect me, hoping that one day the evidence would reach me. I confronted my mother with the box. She admitted everything, but she also gave me something I never expected: a final letter from my father, written only weeks before he died. He knew he was sick and had chosen not to return because he believed reopening the past would destroy my life. In the letter, he never blamed my mother. He only wrote that he hoped I would someday stop carrying anger that belonged to other people. For years, I had hated the wrong man. I didn't get the reunion I had imagined, but I finally got the truth. I still keep the brass key on my desk. It reminds me that family secrets can steal years you can never get back. And sometimes the truth hurts less than the lie you built your life around. If you were in my place, would you have confronted my mother, forgiven her, or walked away? Tell me in the comments. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that the truth can arrive late, but it can still set you free. And subscribe to Family Betrayal for more stories. Sometimes the person you spent your life blaming was the one who loved you enough to disappear. The hardest truth I ever learned was also the one that finally gave me peace.